Fan films have always been a sort of hit or miss situation. There's your good and bad, your highs and lows, your student projects and your $20 budgets. But there's always the ones that stand out, the ones where you can really feel the passion and love that we're taking into account with each shot. I love fan films. It's a chance for everyone to express themselves and show their appreciation for something. You know what I also love? Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a superhero icon. I mean, how could he not be? The guy's been around since 1962. The love child of Steve Ditko and Stan Lee, Spidey's got it all. A cool costume, awesome powers, and the audience's support with his passion to be responsible and help everyone he can. 63 years of action-packed, incredibly emotional, genius storytelling. Well, most of the time anyway. Now when we mix these two together, Spider-Man and fan films I mean, we can get some really neat results. Spidey has some really great fan films, and some really not so great ones, but let's ignore those. So yeah, the web has had no shortage of fan films over the past few years. But what if we went back further than just a few years? Before the internet, before one more day, before even Sam Raimi's first film.
I'm here. Did somebody say Raimi?
How the fuck did you get to Britain in 0.2 seconds?
I'm black. That's all you need to know. So, what's this about Raimi I hear?
I was just bringing it up. I'm not actually talking about Raimi today.
Oh. Well, shit.
But if you want, you can help me talk about the other thing.
What thing?
You know, the thing.
Oh, that thing. Alright guys, I need to clarify this. I'm not the one who stole the Toy Chica puppet from the FNAF 2 set. It just showed up in my room, and the substances that were found in it do not belong to me. I repeat, they do not belong to me.
You're a fucking idiot.
What I'm actually talking about today is The Green Goblin's Last Stand, a fan film from 1992 that adapts the Gwen Stacy arc from the comics. Joining me today is Arachnid Youth.
Hello.
Yeah, that's great, buddy. Alright, enough dabbling, let's fucking get into it. The Green Goblin's Last Stand is a 1992 superhero fan film which was written, edited, and produced by Dan Paul. It adapts the night Gwen Stacy died story from the comics into a live-action movie, with Paul himself playing Spider-Man. But before we get too into that, I think we have to go back a bit and figure out where it all started.
The year is 1987. A year off the heels out of high school, Dan picked up a book called The Best of Spider-Man. He found the first mentioned, that the webhead was getting a theatrical release. Having been very interested in stunts and growing up as a bit of an actor himself, Poole knew that this was his destiny.
Dan knew he couldn't just walk up to Stan Lee and ask to be Spider-Man, so he started putting together a resume of sorts. He grabbed the comic-accurate Spidey costume his mom made for him, a camera, his best friend Eric Sapensky, and got to work.
Knew that was coming. I got that video camera. And as we focus in on the battered Spider-Man.
Over the course of the next 4 years, Dan would create 3 different Spider-Man movies with the help of friends and family. These were all created with the intent of getting him on that Spider-Man movie, but they turned out to be something much different.
In 1990, Spider-Man the Quick and the Dead released. The movie's premise was simple. Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin of Crime, hires the deadly assassin Bullseye to rid the world of Spider-Man.
In 1989, Paul released a movie simply called Mysterio. Unfortunately, not much is really known about this movie, and that's because there isn't much to know. Mysterio is really just Dan and someone in a really good-looking fishbowl costume fucking around in a warehouse. Dan said, "We did try quite a few visual effects for what we had, but in the end all we came up with out of it was some cool fog shots in a warehouse."
And at the earliest in 1988, we have Garbuzzi's Revenge. Dan got the help of his pals Matt and Chris Wise to put together a quick 20-minute demo reel where 2 gangsters kidnap JJJ and threaten to explode him in a warehouse.
By the time Dan finished Quick and the Dead, he told himself that he was done. His main problem with Quick and the Dead was MJ and Peter's relationship. He hadn't really done the love aspect of it all too well, and it sort of took away from the rest of the movie. Enough for him to not really like that one too much anyway. So, yeah, that was it. Dan Paul never made another Spider-Man movie ever again.
How in the hell am I gonna impress a guy who's inventing technology to tell his stories?
Dan was back in the game, and he knew he needed to make something big if he wanted to get in on James Cameron's Spider-Man movie. So he thought of an idea for a 5-minute trailer with non-stop kick-ass action, with Spidey facing off against villains like Venom, Doc Ock, and of course, the Green Goblin.
He had no clue how he was going to do it, but he knew that anything that they could pull off, they were going to. Paul had urged Sapensky get working on the Goblin and Venom mask immediately, but Dan was told that the costumes were going to take a long time, and along with that, casting wasn't going to be too easy either. But then Dan started reading.
The day Gwen Stacy died, Dan found the story gripping, investing, severe even. He knew it had to be told, so the project evolved. Poole knew out of all the fight scenes he wanted to film, the Wall Crawler versus the Emerald Elf was the one he wanted to do the most. And if he was gonna do the fight scene, why not do the rest of the story too?
The Green Goblin's last stand couldn't just be Dan and some of his friends, so he went around Baltimore looking for the best actors he could find. Jimmy Kinstall as the Green Goblin, Allison Adams as Gwen Stacy, and Bob Tull as Harry Osborn.
These were the actors chosen to make a pretty damn good fan film, but Dan Poole accidentally added another ingredient, being an actual fucking lunatic.
If you have heard of Green Goblin's Last Stand before, you'll know that Paul is infamous for kind of just not giving a shit about his health. He jumps around abandoned skyrises, throws himself into barrels, dodges Roman candles, and actually fucking swings from a building with no safety equipment whatsoever. His reasoning behind this? He needed the shot.
That's fair enough. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, how else was he gonna show a guy who swings around without swinging around?
It simply had to be done. It did not have to be done.
After about 14 months of production and what I can only assume was a shit ton of meth to get Dan through some of the stunts he was doing, the Green Goblin's Last Stand was complete.
The movie starts with Spidey monologuing. He's late for his date because, of course he is, as he rushes to stop some carjackers. Oh, of course. Why couldn't I see it coming? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a minute and 5 seconds in, and Dan Poole is already swinging from the fucking underside of a bridge.
Spider-Man leaps onto the car as they barrel through town. The thieves swerve him off as it comes to a stop. Peter makes quick work of the thieves and acts as a bystander to call the cops.
We see Gwen playing Love Me Not whilst waiting in a fancy restaurant. She's about to leave when the PD boy himself finally arrives. Unrelated, but can I just say that Dan Poole plays the part of Peter Parker really well? When they were making the film, Dan only really wanted to play the part of Spider-Man as he wanted a professional actor to be Peter Parker. But in the end, he knew it was going to be him again. Jimmy Kinstall, the actor who plays Norman Osborn, faked how Dan was in his element as Parker. It makes sense after all, he has Spider-Man ingrained in his head. He knows how he should act, what he'd say, it comes naturally. Sorry for the side tangent, back to the movie.
Peter and Gwen talk about stuff and things for a while. Gwen hates Spider-Man because he killed her father, the usual shit, yada yada yada. He's doing a pretty good job at listening, until Norman rolls by in a taxi. His spider sense goes crazy just at the sight of him. Gwen snaps him out of it though, but he just still can't help that feeling that something's wrong.
Cut to Norman Osborn, fresh out of the mental institute as he walks around his home with spoopy music playing in the background. Norman finds a newspaper on his desk, but just as he's about to read it, he hears the door knock. Osborn leaps downstairs, believing it's his son Harry having come to see him. However, he only finds Peter Parker. Norman accuses him of doing something to Harry, but Peter reassures him that he's only there to help. He's going to go find Harry and have him call Norman immediately. Osborn calms down a bit and lets Peter go.
Back to Ben and Gwen. The two are in Pete's apartment, with Peter confiding in her about his worry for Norman. Well, it's not really for as much as it is about. Gwen, again, reassures him that everything is fine. But we all know Peter knows better.
And we're back to the Drip King once again. Norman's amnesia starts wearing off, and the inner goblin awakens. He starts hallucinating Spider-Man in his home and chases after him. The chase escalates when Norman ends up in a back alley brawl with some thugs after thinking that one of them is Spider-Man. He's winning for a while until a thug gets a good hit on him with a bottle. Normally he's out for the count. For now, anyway.
Jesus, this is a lot of cuts to Peter and Gwen anyway! Their conversation shifts to Spider-Man, and Gwen gets fired up. Peter tries to defend him, but she isn't budging. Which is its worst when Gwen storms out. Peter is about to go after her, but then his phone starts ringing. Peter picks up just as Harry leaves a message. Figures. Going back to Peter and Gwen, what is it with people romanticizing Gwen and Peter? Like, if you read the original comments, she is not a good person at all. Fun fact, did you know Gwen hates Spider-Man so much she sided with a white supremacist? I'm not joking when I say that.
The fuck?
Back to Norman, having woken up the next morning in... Is this Hiroshima? Where the fuck is he? Oh, never mind, it's his old hideout, no biggie. Oh, fuck, it's his old hideout. That's not good.
Peter returns to Norman's house, probably to check in on the old man and make sure he hasn't chopped his dick off yet or something like that. He doesn't find Norman though, just barely stopping himself from fucking killing Harry. Peter tells Harry about seeing his father the night before. Harry finds it ridiculous as he just saw Norman yesterday. He's getting better. Peter's firm. Harry takes a seat and looks through whatever the fuck this thing is, and he finds both an address and a phone number missing.
Pete doesn't think much of it till Harry mentions that his details were on it too. Ruh-roh, Raggy. Gwen walks around Peter's apartment, having come to apologize for their argument the other night. Finds a paper about Spidey on the table. This sets her off, and Greenie apparently wants her to shut the fuck up as he blows sleepy sleep dust in her face.
And there it is! It's Deadpool swinging around the building! That's it! That's the movie! Wrap it up! Let's go!
I've seen this movie maybe 15 times at this point, and still, whenever I see this scene, it makes me giddy like a schoolgirl. So, Spidey swings across town as fast as he can and lands in his apartment window. He finds the Goblin's calling card, Pumpkin Bomb, and leaps back out the window to battle Gobby on the building's rooftop, trying to get Gwen back.
Peter manages to trip Norman's glider up with a web line and goes straight for Gwen. Norman has other plans, however. He gives Spidey a little bump, and Gwen goes overboard. Peter fires a web to save her, but we all know how this story ends. Gwen's neck snaps from the whiplash.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Peter is blinded by rage and starts beating the ever-living shit out of Norman. A beautiful case of the Spidey crash outs. Maybe he gets a little too blinded because Norman manages to smash some sort of evil bolt bomb into his face that knocks him back. Osborn gets away and Peter mourns over Gwen's dead body.
And as it turns out, Goblin has retreated to his hideout and is licking his wounds. He's confident that he'll be able to catch Peter off guard, but his plans are quickly disrupted when the deadly neighborhood Spider-Man comes knocking down his door. Literally. And he leaps into the darkness like a fucking monkey. Norman looks for him in the shadows, taunting him about his failures like a true rage baiter.
Spider-Man pulls what we call a pro game move and drops from above, right onto Norman's back. Then Norman pulls an equally pro game move and blasts the fucker with fire. Boy, that's gotta hurt.
Some more deserved glazing here. This final fight is absolutely incredible. Every punch, explosion, fall, kick, everything. It looks so real, and that's because it is. Peter's mask gets really damaged in this scene to the point you can see his burnt skin under the tattered lenses. That's fucking terrifying.
When I was showing Arachnid this scene for the first time, he described Spidey looking like a live-action version of Zombie Spider-Man. And when you get a good look at some of the close-up shots of this guy, yeah, that statement's pretty accurate. He genuinely looks like he'd be the star of one of those shitty public domain character horror movies, like Blood and Honey or something. Except that it would actually be scary. Can you imagine this guy chasing you after you mug some random woman on the side of the street? Better question, would you rather fight this Spider-Man or Year 1 Angry Batman?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to run this. I really would not run. Let's be real. I would not want to run into this version of Spider-Man post Gwen death. Wait, look at the way he's thrashing Goblin. Do you see this shit? I wouldn't want to deal with this. Do you want to deal with this? I wouldn't.
Peter gets really fucked up here. In the original comic, it was an absolute curb stomp from Spidey to Norman, but here, it's genuinely a really close fight between good and evil. Now that I think about it, it really is a lot like Raimi's first Spider-Man movie. I didn't mean that.
As Goblin's just about to finish the web slinger off with a pumpkin bomb, Peter picks the perfect time to jolt awake and fires a web right back at Norman. The fight picks up again with the Goblin using his laser fingers to try to eliminate Spidey. Hey, quick question. Why the fuck doesn't he use these anymore? Last time I remember seeing these in official Spidey media was a Spectacular, and, you know, they were pretty awesome there.
Marvel hates fun. Simple. Fun fact, they used genuine Roman candles to act as the lasers in this scene, and to get the shots of Spider-Man dodging all of them, Dan had to actually convince Ray Schuler, the guy who was firing them at the time, into trying to hit him with the candles. So these shots aren't planned or anything, this is actually just Dan Bull fucking dodging Roman candles. Neat.
Norman tries to get away on the Batglider, but Peter wrecks it, and oh boy, this brother's tweaking. Norman taunts him more, talking about how Gwen didn't matter. Just like how most women who take up space... Wait a fucking minute.
Peter throws the goblin to the floor and beats his shit in some more before stopping himself. Osborn deserves to rot in a prison cell. No matter how much he despises him, he can't bring himself to kill him. But by the looks of it, he may have already.
Oh, god damn it! The glider roars to life as Spidey holds him up by the collar. The goblin asks Peter what he'll do when he tells the world his secret identity. What it'll do to his Aunt May. Peter doesn't care. He'll take his chances. Ballsy bastard. Spider-Man ducks out of the way just as the glider is about to hit him, going straight into Norman's chest.
This scene is so fucking cold. Peter looks down at Norman's body erupting in blood with that look in his eye as he cuts the black. It's so menacing and so fucking cool.
It's funny. I thought seeing the goblin die would make me feel better. But it didn't. Instead, I just feel empty.
So, that was the Green Goblin's last stand. Wild, reckless, passionate, and honestly brilliant. This movie doesn't just stand out for its quality, it stands out for its passion, its dedication, its sheer commitment to the character of Spider-Man as a whole.
Even if it meant nearly dying a couple of dozen times.
Yeah. Look, this movie is a flawless. No film is. But I will be damned to say if it isn't one of the greatest fan films, probably of all time. Okay, now how do we end the video?
Huh? Oh, I got it. Stay safe, and please don't swing from any bridges without a harness.
Or maybe just don't swing from bridges at all?
Yeah, don't, like, seriously.
Like, please don't. For the love of God.
We are begging you.
We are literally begging you. Until next time, webheads, stay spectacular. Hey, thanks for watching. Sorry if I sound really tired. I'm recording at like 1 a.m. Special thanks to Arachnid Youth for coming on with me. His channel's awesome, and if you go over there, I'm in a video or two myself. Slinger VA for the Spider-Man 2 model textures, the ones that you see on my sprites, and the Last Stand production team for making this movie. Links to everyone mentioned will be in the description below. I really want to do more content like this, so if that's something you guys want to see, let me know. Thanks for watching again, and bye!
Hires the deadly assassin Bullseye to get rid of the world. Fuck!
Actually hit him. So these shot. I'm fucking. Oh.
Last time I remember these in live action. Can I get my gun? Where's my gun?
What I'm actually talking about today is The Green Goblin's Last Stand, a fan film from 1992. Fuck, I said fan film. I'm gonna.
Spider-Man leaps onto the car as they barrel through town. The thieves swerve off. Going to kill myself.
Sort of took away from the rest of the movie for him. Enough. These scripts make no fucking sense. Why do I write like a
Conversation.
Cool had Eric Spensky get working on a Green Goblin. Oh!
The thieves swerve him off the car as it comes to a stop. Peter makes a quick. Fuck! The wall crawler versus the Emerald Elf was. I'm gonna kill myself. Being an actual fucking insane. God damn it, I lost the word I was gonna use.
So he went around Baltimore looking for the best actors he could find. Jimmy Kent. Oh my god, I'm coming!
Peter Quinn. I'm gonna kill myself. It reaches its worst when Grin. Ah! The year is 1987. that the Bite of 86?